Been gone for a minute, but I'm back with Jump Off. What's up, everybody? James Jackson here, back again with another video. If you're new to my channel, I do tips, tricks, news, and reviews for the film and video making industry. So if you do like the content here, please subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you can stay up to date on all the content. Make sure to hit the like buttons. The likes definitely help out with the algorithm so we can get this channel out more to other people. So if you do enjoy the content, let other people know about it so they can learn about it themselves. Also, just for you guys know, with 1.31 of the Canon EOS R5, obviously came with Canon Log 3. Well, I have now a new set of LUTs on my digital store that are built and designed for Canon Log 3 out of the EOS R5. And I built a series of LUTs that you can match with other cameras, whether they're Blackmagic, Panasonic, Sony, Red, Arri, as well as some of my own customized LUTs as well, including my own personal custom Rec 709 that is basically my go-to LUT for when I'm doing any of my work with the EOS R5. So definitely check that out when you get a chance, and also get a chance to get that package on the digital store. Oh man, how have you guys been? It has been a while since I've been able to talk to you guys, and I've been swamped with one thing or another. So like I said, throughout March I was busy. April, the first part of April was busy for me as well. And then last week, I finally got myself to get some break, but it was also my wife's birthday. So we planned for quite some time to go to the Dominican Republic. And so we spent all of last week in the DR, just in Punta Cana, and then a day in Santo Domingo. Had a great time, got a lot of footages that hopefully I can show you guys. Definitely want to show some of you guys, especially about the camera that I brought to the trip. But but now I'm back, and boy, I came at a good time to sort of just, basically get back into the swing of things, because a lot of things have been happening. Camera company has came out with a Micro Four Thirds 8K camera, which is really, really exciting. And of course, now just yesterday, Canon, or at least rumors from Canon rumors, man, they're always busy working. We now have a better understanding of what's coming with these higher end cinema cameras that we've been hearing about for quite some time. And now hearing about it, it is like really crazy and also excited. I can tell you right now, these are going to be way out of my price points. If you've been to Canon Rumors website, you probably already know what I'm talking about. And that is the fact there are now 3 different cameras that he's reporting that are going to be announced at NAB in October of this year. 2 of them are what appears to be the mysterious 8K cameras that we've been long hearing about, and a third one that is very interesting, and I'm really curious to see how a lot of people are going to feel about it. I love what it potentially means. I would love to hear what you guys think about it after we go through it. So definitely leave your comments down below on everything we're going. But let's go into this. There's 3 new cinema cameras, and I guarantee you none of them are going to be under $15,000. So I probably am not going to get any of these anytime soon, especially the ones that I may be more interested in. And I'll discuss my thinking about them. But okay, so the 3 cameras we know about are the C300S is one of them being called, which is a Super 35 8K camera that is going to shoot up to 60 frames per second and will shoot 4K up to 120 frames a second. That's insane. And it's going to have the DGO sensor that is in the C300 Mark III and the C70. So they really are rolling out this DGO sensor. They are putting their technology in all of these bigger cameras, which is what I was expecting. It's like their new, probably, I don't know if it's going to be their new version of dual pixel autofocus. Every one of them is going to get their new DGO sensor, which I'm like, this is going to be probably very game changing for Canon and for Canon users. And now there's a new thing that they're coming with that was kind of hinted at in the R3. What a lot of people are rumoring is coming with the R3 mirrorless camera, and that is stacked sensors, back sensor illuminated stacked sensors, which is something Sony has been doing for quite some time, which is what it has been using to get such great low light capabilities, and as well as also helping with rolling shutter. So these are all coming on these new cameras, but this is right now specifically for this Canon C300S. So it's coming with a BSI stacked 3.2 UM 8K DGO sensor, and it's going to have the dual pixel autofocus. It's going to come with 16 stops of dynamic range in DGO mode. It's going to have a readout speed of 10 milliseconds. So rolling shutter will still somewhat be there, but it's going to be very minimized. So this is looking to be great. I feel like this is going to be great for action, great for documentaries, and then it's going to have dual digit DV8 image processors. So because of that DV8 image processor, my guessing is that it's the dual pixel on this is not the full second generation. We could be wrong again, these are just rumors, but it's not going to be the second generation dual pixels that you're seeing on the R5. It's going to be more similar to the C300 Mark III, the C70 and the C500 Mark II's dual pixel right now, which is good for most situations, but it's nowhere near as good as the R5s. So that's the first one. The second one is the C500S with pretty much the same specs, except this one is going to be full frame, 8K 60 frames per second and 4K 120 frames per second. And it's going to have a whopping 17 plus stops of dynamic range, which is really, really insane. And then everything else is pretty much the same. Now here's the very interesting one, and I'm really curious of how you guys are going to feel about it, because this to me is clearly going to be the most expensive one of the bunch. I'm really excited about the C500S, and this one intrigues me heavily because of what it's clearly aiming to be and what it could mean for the future lineup of the cinema camera. So the next thing is the Canon C700DR is what they're calling it right now. And this is not an 8K camera. This is a full frame 4K camera that is going to be able to do 4K up to 240 frames a second in the fast mode, and then 180 frames per second in WDR. So I know I was listening to a couple people yesterday who did a couple news about this. Simon, Ordinary Filmmaker, and I know he was asking, what is WDRs? So for some of you guys who may not be familiar, a lot of you guys are probably familiar, especially if you're familiar with the cinema line. But if you're not familiar with the cinema line of cameras, WDR stands for WDR. That is the best way I can describe it. Is it's their version of S-Cinetone of what Sony presents. It's basically has the gamma curve or the log curve of Canalog 1. So the dynamic range of Canalog 1, but it is wrapped into a finished Rec 709 picture profile. And that's the best way I can describe it. It's to me the best picture profile I have ever came across. Hey guys, I wanted to just interrupt for a bit because I made a statement in the video where I was talking about WDR. I was thinking it was referring to the WDR picture profile, but upon doing more research, I'm realizing that is not exactly what I'm referring to. Simon, if you're watching this, apologies for the misdirect. I thought this was inferring for the WDR picture profile. That is not what this is talking about. looking at this further, the WDR appears to be a brand new sensor type. This must be the new sensor. So instead of like a dual gain output sensor, which is what the other two have, this appears to be a brand new stacked style sort of multiple reading sensor. And that is what that WDR stands for. So what's really happening, so the WDR is basically like DGO, but this is like the final form of DGO, basically in the Canon realm, at least of what it looks like it's going to be. This is the sensor that's going to be rivaling the Alexa. And basically WDR, it's going to be kind of like, you know how in the C70 and the C300 Mark III, if you own one or if you did any research on it, up to 60 frames per second, the DGO is engaged. But after 60 frames per second, the DGO is turned off. This is basically the same thing here. So up to 180 frames per second in 4K, the WDR is going to be engaged. And then after 180 frames per second, the WDR is going to be turned off. So basically you're not going to get that dynamic range advantage in the higher frame rates. So that's essentially what it now looks like to be. So I wanted to just correct that real quick, guys. I would definitely say check out Rubidium of the Crimson Engine. And he gives a really good point because the C300S has like a 3 UM size sensor, and the C500S, which being full frame, it's a little bit bigger, has a 4.65, something like that, UM. This one is over 9 UM. And from what Rubidium was saying was that and I do agree with him, this appears to be that unlike DGO, where there's basically two sensors, there's two different sensor chips that basically are merged together to form that whole different, have different readouts and are merged together. This appears to be three sensors that are merged together and form out. And judging by that size, this seems like this is a large, it's not just a full frame. It says full frame. I think this is a large format sensor. It is going to be a 4K sensor. It's not going to be, it's going to be larger than full frame. It's going to be something similar to what Arri has done, which brings me to the point. But so that's one of the things. So it's a new sensor. It's a big sensor. But more importantly, this is the craziest thing. It's going to produce supposedly 20 plus stops of dynamic range. Just to understand, for people to see how crazy that could potentially be. The human eye is, for the longest time, been the best sensor to capture dynamic range. The human eye can see about 20 stops of dynamic range. Essentially, this camera, if this is true, if Canon is coming out with this camera, they are essentially saying they have a camera that can replicate the dynamic range of the human eye, which meaning is get your exposure correct, and essentially you don't have to worry about anything clipping. You will have so much information. Now, will it actually have full 20 stops of dynamic range? Probably not. And I would be shocked that if it's still only C-Log 2. My guess is they're going to be coming with a new log profile, which would be really exciting if it is true that they're coming with a new log profile like C-Log 4. That would be really, really amazing. Or they're coming with a whole new different color space that we're probably not even thinking about. So these are all different things that could possibly come out. And the other thing is it has like a 5 millisecond readout speed. So pretty much so the other ones had 10 millisecond readout speed. So they already were reducing rolling shutter. This one's going to be reducing rolling shutter by 50%. That is insane. I really hope this is all true, because this could mean some potentially industry shaking technology evolution coming to the higher end spectrum of filmmaking. And let's be clear, and I think that's a good segue to go into. Let's be clear. If you are somebody that's feeling that $5,000 for a camera is too high, these cameras are definitely not going to be for you. Based on what I'm seeing with these specs and based on what I understand Canon and Canon's history, these cameras are clearly going after three types of people: Arri Alexa LF owners or potential LF customers, Red Monstro VistaVision customers and owners, and Red Helium owners and potential customers. Those are the people that they're going after. People that own Alexa LFs, which which is a $100,000 camera. Like you're going to be spending six figures to get that camera. The Red Monstro VistaVision, which if you're not going to spend six figures, you're going to spend pretty damn close to six figures for just to get that camera up and running and properly set up for types of shoots. And then the Helium, which you're going to spend anywhere between 30 to 50 grand on that package. So just understand, and I bring this up because I almost guarantee you, I will be shocked if any of these cameras are under $15,000. So, and the reason why is because every single one of these specs are aimed directly at those cameras. Basically, Canon is coming for the king and the queen, Red and Arri. And not just like any of their spaces, like the Komodos or the Alexa Mini Classic or the Alexa Mini L. No. They are aiming directly at their flagship cameras. They are looking at the Monstro, they're looking at the Alexa LF, and they're looking at the Helium. That is really what these cameras are sort of aimed at. If you really look at the specs, because look at the C300S, 8K 60 frames per second, Super 35 camera that has a WDR and has a great looking sensor. That is the Helium to a T. The C500S, a 8K full frame camera with 17 plus stops of dynamic range. That is the Monstro to a T. The C700DR, which is a full frame 4K camera that will shoot the most insane amount of dynamic range that you could possibly carry, that will shoot ProRes internally. That is the Arri Alexa LF to a T. Understand what these, I'm saying this because I'm stressing this out because I know a lot of people are getting excited, but understand these cameras are aiming for the creme de la creme, the head honchos of the industry. Meaning you're going to still have to pay the cost to be the boss with these cameras. But remember the prices I mentioned before: $100,000, if not $100,000 for the Monstro, somewhere around $80,000 to $90,000, and then somewhere between $30,000 to $50,000 for the Helium. These cameras are still going to be seem like secondhand robbery compared to those prices. So my price predictions on these cameras are the C300S, it's probably going to be around the same price as the C500 or the C300 Mark II was, which is around that $15,000, $16,000. I would say probably around $15,000, which when you compare that to the Helium, when you're thinking about spending potentially easily twice that amount of money, and you can get those cameras already pre-packaged with paying for little to really get them up and running, at least compared to something like those cameras. That seems like a great deal. And then there's the C500S, which is clearly aimed at the Monstro. My guess is that one is going to be somewhere around the $20,000 to $25,000 price tag range, if I was to take a guess for that. Which again, compared to the Monstro, which the brain alone cost $50,000, that's literally half the cost of that camera just for the brain, not including everything you would need to get that camera up and running for days or even a full day of shooting. And then there is the C700DR, which I know a lot of y'all is going to seem like this would be the cheaper camera. No. If you understand how Canon's cinema line works, The C700 line is the flagship camera. That is their flagship line. And judging by what this is talking about, this thing is going to be anywhere between $35,000 to $40,000. I would be shocked if it's under $35,000. Now you may be looking like, why in the world am I going to spend 40 grand for a 4K camera when I can pay 15, maybe even 25 for a full frame 8K camera? Why would I do that? Well, I need you guys to understand Canon doesn't price their cameras based on specs. Spec does play in the role in the pricing, but it's not the it isn't the major factor. Price is really determined in terms of Canon by market. What are these markets that these cameras are aiming at? And understand, the C700 is aiming directly. It is aiming, Canon couldn't be even more blatant with the fact that they're shooting straight at the Alexa LF with this camera. This is saying, if you feel the Alexa LF is too expensive, you want something like it that can produce the same image quality as the Alexa LF, even potentially better image quality than the Alexa LF. Blasphemous, I know, insane. That's Hollywood. That is the cinematographer Hollywood's, darling. I get it, but that's what Canon is essentially saying. We have a camera that's going to be just as good, if not better, for significantly less. Because again, you're going to spend well over 6 figures for an Arri Alexa LF if you're even thinking about getting it. This camera you're going to spend for 40 grand compared to something 100 grand and over. That sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? And that's what's Canon's way of thinking. And also, there's a lot of people, especially people that are looking at Arri cameras, and because I've heard them on Clubhouse all the time talk about they're sick and tired of these resolution wars. Build a camera that's just great, with a great sensor and delivers great image. This is their answer, and they don't have to pay the money like they would have to pay for an Arri Alexa LF. Now, is this going to kill? Is this going to be an Arri Alexa killer? Hell no. They have way too much influence, way too much status in the filmmaking world. This is never going to overthrow Arri. What it is going to do is going to make people start considering these cameras. And Canon, let's be clear, Canon knows what they're doing. What they want the people to do is either have these people consider them over these cameras, because if you're looking, what Canon is thinking is, well, if you're looking at a Monstro, an Arri Alexa LF, or a Red Helium, you could definitely consider our cameras as well. The other way is that those people that still may buy Arri Alexa cameras, but hey, maybe they want more cameras that can keep the quality they want with those Alexas, but they can't afford more Alexas, well, then we can get some Canon cameras that can produce the same quality. And especially with technology that we have now, that it's, in terms of software programs, that makes it a lot easier to match and grade things in post. A lot of people may be going, the second camera on set could be a C700DR or a C500S or a C300S, depending on what the project may be. So now, if you're a DP, if you don't have the money for an Arri Alexa, you may look at the Canon cameras and go, hey, these guys can still fill that role, and you'll still be getting on sets. Because Canon still carries the weight, not as much as, they don't carry that much as Red and Arri, but they are up there. And everybody talking, a lot of people hold Canon up there, especially their cinema cameras, up there with the Reds and the Arris. That's sort of their game plan. All I gotta say to Canon is be careful, because a wise man once said, you come at the king, you best not miss. So hopefully there's no hiccups with any of these cameras like there has been with some of their previous cameras. But if these cameras can produce the images that it looks like these specs are promising, these things could be very game changing, especially going into the future for us indie filmmakers. And this is the part that I'm really excited about with these cameras. Potential announcement, because again, these are all rumors. I also believe all of these cameras are going to come in the RF mount. I'm almost certain, because it makes no sense for why they wouldn't do this. They got all this technology they've been building for years, including the technology coming out of their RF mount lines of cameras. So now are we going to see like tens of $1 million projects being shot on like Canon still RF lenses? No, that's not what I'm saying. But keep in mind, there was a rumor not too long ago that Canon has planned sometime late this year or early next year for a full set of RF cinema prime lenses. If that is true, it makes no sense for them to release these cameras without getting access to the RF mount, especially since that sits closer to the sensor. That alone will help produce better image quality than to go with something like PL and EF. Even though PL is the industry standard mount, Canon can always build a PL. In fact, I'm pretty sure Canon themselves remembers them saying they're building a RF to PL adapter, and they can do what they did with the C70, which is have these little mounts that have these screw-ons that you can screw directly to the camera to give it more support. So that's why I say I will be shocked if these cameras don't like come RF mount, and then they may come with EF or PL adapter options as well. That seems like the option to go with. We'll see. And we'll see how it goes, but that is my suspicions. Because again, with this fact that they are planning to release RF cinema glass, that signals to me these are going to be RF, which will be really exciting to see what this RF space is going to be. So overall, I am very excited about these cameras, simply because of what it can mean potentially, again, for cameras like the C70, maybe a C70 Mark II, a C200 Mark II with these newer sensors. I can't wait to see what all these cameras come down with. But you guys let me know what you guys think about these cameras. Do you think you'll actually get one of these cameras? If not, what are some things that you're reading that's got you the most excited? Let me know, leave your comments below, and make sure to hit that subscribe button once again. And until next time, take care, everyone.